Hi, everybody. Dana Sparks, Director of the Real Estate Academy of America and qualifying broker of Maximum One Greater Atlanta Realtors, bringing you another video regarding the changes that the Georgia Association of Realtors has made to the 2023 GAR contract package. So please make sure to watch this whole series of videos. There is a playlist, 2023 GAR contract, and just wanted to bring your attention to that to look at all of these videos. Additionally, the Real Estate Academy of America is hosting several free 3-hour CE courses on this topic called 2023 GAR contract changes. We are teaching them in December of 2022 and continuing on into January and February of 2023. I will link the calendar below. We're teaching them virtually as well as in physical Maximum One Realty locations throughout the state. So I hope you will join us. But in the meantime, just wanted to cover a little bit just to give you a taste of what to expect in 2023. So today I'm going to start, and I'm keeping these videos brief, just so that you'll watch them and to get an idea of what they are. So, as they say, follow the money, right? Well, GAR has made quite a few changes for 2023 to the exhibits regarding the money. The all cash exhibit, which is F401, as well as the conventional and FHA and VA and USDA loan exhibits. So today I'm going to just dive in and start talking about the conventional. Ooh, that's kind of reflecting. I'm going to talk about the conventional loan contingency exhibit and some pretty major changes, not necessarily in terms of how it impacts your buyer and your seller, but in terms of the formatting and organization of that exhibit. But you as the agent, you need to be familiar with it so that you're not sitting in front of your public buyer filling out an offer, or in front of your public seller presenting an offer, and you're like, well, where's the time frame? What's going on? I'm not used to looking at this. So it's important on both sides of the transaction, whether you're representing a buyer or seller, to understand what the differences are. Additionally, as you know, or you may not know, but hopefully you'll know now, a lot of the changes that GAR makes are universal changes. Dana, what do you mean by universal changes? Well, if they're changing something in a loan contingency exhibit, in the conventional loan contingency exhibit, universally that same concept will also change in the FHA loan contingency exhibit, VA loan contingency exhibit, and USDA loan contingency exhibit. There are some differences. Obviously, there are differences between a government insured loan and a conventional loan, but let's just dive in. Stay tuned. I'm also going to do a video contract tip on the all cash exhibit, and I'm going to do another one on FHA and VA, and I'll combine those into one. But let's just dive in on the conventional. So GAR F404 conventional loan exhibit. Well, one of the universal changes that GAR has made to all of the financing exhibits, and per Georgia license law, it is a license law requirement that if you are writing a contract and making it subject to financing, that you must complete all of that information. The loan amount, the term in terms of years, the interest rate, the rate type, so forth and so on. Well, one of the changes for 2023 is under the interest rate. First of all, they put interest rate, and then in parentheses, they put at par. And then where you fill in the blank for the actual interest rate, instead of just blank percent per annum, it now says an interest rate at par not greater than blank percent per annum or initial rate on adjustable loan. So that not greater than is the phrase that they have added there. Additionally, they have changed, and that's a universal change in all the loan exhibits. Additionally, they've changed everything regarding the where everything is. I mean, like I said, conceptually, not a lot of changes. But where you are looking for the actual financing contingency time frame, the length of time that a seller allows a buyer to convince a lender to lend them their money, and if not, the time frame within which the buyer must send notice of termination to protect their earnest money. That's all changed. So there is a brand new paragraph, paragraph 3, called length of financing contingency period. And this is where the fill in the blank is. It's not under the financing contingency paragraph where it explains it. So number 3, length of financing contingency period. The length of the financing contingency period in section 6 below shall be blank number of days from the binding agreement date. That is the only fill in the blank for time frames, not only for the financing contingency, but also for the, no, I take that back. That is the only fill in the blank. So it used to be under the description of what a financing contingency is, but now they've separated out that time frame. Now there is and then the actual financing contingency description is now paragraph 6, and that goes on with additional information regarding the loan denial letter and regarding well, let me just read it to you. Well, it's the same. Let me read you the changes. In 2023, under the paragraph where it describes the financing contingency and what is required, it says the buyer shall have a financing contingency period equal to the number of days set forth in section 3 above, which I just read to you, to determine if the buyer has the ability to obtain the loan described above financing contingency period. Then it goes on to say that's new. What's not new is it does say buyers shall be deemed to have the ability to obtain the loan unless prior to the end of the financing contingency period, buyer notifies the seller that the buyer is terminating the agreement because the buyer has been turned down for the loan, and provides the seller within 7 days from the date of the notice a letter of loan denial from a mortgage lender based upon the mortgage lender's customary and standard underwriting criteria. So in other words, the buyer has a time frame to send notice of termination, and they have to prove it with the loan denial letter. Now, this part is new, and the next part for 2023 says the loan denial letter and mortgage lender issuing the loan denial letter must meet all of the requirements set forth elsewhere in this exhibit, but may be provided to the seller after the financing contingency period has ended if the above referenced 7-day period to provide the loan denial letter falls outside of the contingency period. What does that mean? That means the time frame that was filled in the new paragraph 3, length of financing contingency period. The buyer has until 11:59 p.m. on that day to send the notice of termination. But then they have 7 days after they send notice of termination to actually send this loan denial letter. Now, the loan denial letter is very specific, and that is further described in the exhibit, as you're aware of. But added on, new for 2023, where it, again, is talking about the financing contingency and what's involved, the last paragraph that states, notwithstanding the above, the end of the financing contingency period shall not limit the buyer's rights under the appraisal contingency section of this agreement, provided that that has not expired. What does that mean? If you have taken any of my classes before, you have heard me say repeatedly, and I actually have a video tip on this, the financing contingency and the appraisal contingency are two completely separate issues. The financing contingency is a lender's assessment of the buyer's ability to pay them back the money they're going to loan them. They're assessing the risk that they're going to take when they lend a buyer money that the buyer will pay them back. The appraisal contingency is an assessment of the collateral that the buyer's putting up to borrow the money. In other words, if the lender does take a risk on the buyer, lends them money, and believing that the buyer will pay them back, If they made a bad decision on that, and for whatever reason the buyer does not pay them back, the collateral that the buyer has put up to borrow that money, i.e. the house, is that of enough value? Does the lender think that that has enough value, that if the lender made a bad decision on the buyer and they get the house back, can they sell it and recoup their money? So the financing contingency is an assessment of the buyer's ability to pay back the loan. The appraisal contingency is an assessment of, is the collateral going to make me whole, make the lender whole, should they have made a bad decision on the buyer? So they're two separate things. And so in 2023, GAR is just clarifying that there is a difference between the appraisal contingency and the financing contingency. Now, in the appraisal contingency, it also has changed a little bit. And in essence, what it now has, again, this is still on the conventional loan exhibit, is the same information. It's the same appraisal process. It is the same procedure that if an appraisal comes in low, the buyer has got to give the seller the right or the opportunity to sell the house for the lower appraisal price. And there's time frames and notices and all that information. None of that has changed. What has changed is there's no fill in the blank for the time frame. So what does that mean? That means that paragraph, the fill in the blank paragraph for the time frame, and I apologize, I said it was paragraph 3, but in the conventional exhibit, it is paragraph 4. So again, that brand new section, you know what, it might be, I'm a little confused about the number, but regardless, it is the same. There is a brand new paragraph, length of the financing contingency period. The length of the financing contingency period shall be blank number of days from the binding agreement date. So then under the appraisal contingency, instead of the fill in the blank for the time frame, it does say that in addition to buyer's other rights herein, the agreement shall be subject to the following appraisal contingency. Buyer shall cause the lender to A, select an appraiser to perform one or more appraisals of the property. Why does it say one or more? Well, an appraiser may have to come back and do a second appraisal, or it could be subject to another appraisal. So that's why it references more than one appraisal of the property. B, provide seller with a copy of any appraisal that is for less than the purchase price of the property. If any such appraisal is for less than the purchase price, buyer shall, not later than by the end of the time period set forth in section 4 above, have the right to request the seller reduce the sale price of the property not less than sale price, blah, blah, blah. So that's it for the conventional. Stay tuned. They made those same changes for FHA and VA, but I'll get into it because, as you know, or should know, the appraisal contingency, there is no time frame in FHA or VA. Never has been. What do you mean? Stay tuned and watch the next video. So next video, I'll talk about FHA, VA changes, and then another video, I'll talk about changes to the cash exhibit. Thank you guys so much for watching. Dana Sparks, Director of the Real Estate Academy of America and qualifying broker of Maximum One Greater Atlanta Realtors. Bye. If you like that video, check out the one here. If you like the content on this entire channel, please click here to subscribe. I try to take even the most complicated of real estate situations and make them crystal clear. See what I did there? Real estate made crystal clear. Thank you guys so much for watching.